is great to speak with you. And for me, of course, is always an honor for somebody who I consider a Canadian icon, a Toronto icon in music. The last time you and I saw each other was when the Hard Rock Cafe closed over at
Oh,
Young Dundas Square.
wow. That, that's crazy.
Long, long time ago, man. But sad day that it closed. Great for me because I had a whole chance to see so many icons. Do you remember that day? And what was that like for you if you do remember?
I feel like, yeah, gosh, when even was that? Yeah, I mean, the Hard Rock was kind of it was, it was a kind of a Toronto thing. I know every city had one, but I feel like there was something uniquely Toronto about that particular location.
It
So
was.
sad to see it go.
Yeah, but it is sad because it's funny because when I see it now, when I see that the Shoppers Drug Mart is there for people who don't know that, I
Yeah.
always look and go, man, so many great things musically happened there. And now, if I got to get like, something for my stomach, that's where I
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, that's the way of the world.
When I think about your former band, and it's funny. I feel like this year has been all this nostalgic stuff going on, especially with watching the movie from the documentary with Much Music and knowing how you guys actually, became popular because you did this crazy ass video, running around the city, recording it, giving it the much, wondering if they were going to play it. They played it, and then things really just sort of picked up from there. Um, it's it makes me smile because I grew up in that era. I listened to your music. I listened and watched your videos, and being able to speak to you, man, it's such a pleasure knowing that somebody like yourself and your band did so much for Canadian music when it was really expanding around the world.
Well, it's very nice of you to say, Rudy. It was, yeah, it was a lot of it was just luck and timing, and that's kind of how many things in life are, is luck and timing, and so yeah, we benefited from both of those things, and yeah, you're right. Handing that video into Much Music definitely changed everything for us.
When you think about the way music has changed over the years, did you ever think that you and I would be speaking now? Because basically, we're talking about a Canadian supergroup from the 80s to basically the 2000s, bringing them together and creating something that is so cool. And I wish this happened a long time ago.
Well, I guess everything happens in its time. It's funny because we have been together for, I don't know, 5 years or so. We got together, a guy named Jim Milan, who's a theatrical director and producer. He put us together and to do sort of like a theatrical show. So we did a run of theaters where we played the songs and then we talked a little bit. It was a bit of a multimedia show, and we just really enjoyed it. We had a great time doing it, and then the pandemic happened, and we during the pandemic we thought, oh, we should do something. We missed each other, and so we said, let's make a record. And so we basically, came up with this concept of doing like a KTEL record that, from like, and using songs from like the early 70s. Thought that would be a fun thing. We didn't really want to write a record, and so we did that, and we just kind of passed files around. And that's the beauty of modern recording technology, is you can record stuff in your own home studio, send it off, and so everything got compiled by Craig, and he mixed it, and we had ourselves a record. And so um yeah, so that's kind of how this all came to sort of like more public attention. So the band had been around for a while, but now people are really getting a chance to know who we are.
Well, let's talk about the band. What is the band called? And who are the members, including yourself?
Okay, so we're called the Trans Canada Highwaymen, which is kind of a nod to the country band the Highwaymen, which was sort of a country supergroup. And so it's Stephen Page, who many people know from his solo work, but also with his work with the Bare Naked Ladies, Craig Northey from Odds, and then Chris Murphy from Sloan, and then myself. And yeah, so again, that was the band that's put together, and what we do is we basically perform each other's hits. And so we all picked our four most successful songs, and we play them. And so we play them as a band. It's like a real band. We're not sitting on stools playing acoustic guitars. It's a real band, and we all take turns on the drums. We all take turns on the bass, guitar, everything. And it's a pretty fun show. It's very fun. It's one of those shows where you go to it and it's like, I know every single song tonight, and which is a fun thing for the audience. And then now we've incorporated some of these covers that we recorded for the record. And again, a lot of people, especially people who would come to see us, know those songs as well, just from listening to the radio when they're kids or their parents' records or that kind of thing. So it's a pretty entertaining night where you kind of know you're familiar with basically every song that we played. So often the whole thing just becomes a gigantic sing along.
I'm glad you cleared up the name of where you guys got it from. I was thinking the Traveling Wilburys. I
It's
thought you got it from that.
That's the same idea as the Wilburys as well, yeah. Which is probably also based on the Highwaymen as well.
Probably. No, you're probably right with that. What is it like to hear these iconic songs through the eyes, the vocals from you guys? When you hear a song that you remember from back in the day from one of their groups, and then hearing you guys doing it in your versions, what's that like?
So are you talking about like a Steven song, or are you talking about the songs that
Yeah, any song that you guys are now performing together.
right? So I mean, you get four musicians together, and whatever they bring to the table creates its own. It's almost like a curry where you just you're throwing in all these ingredients, and it all kind of turns into something completely different. And so when you come to see the show, it's not like seeing The Pursuit of Happiness play I'm an Adult Now, or seeing Sloan play Underwhelmed, or that kind of thing. It's like our own sort of, even though we basically try to fairly faithfully reproduce the song, so we don't change the arrangement or anything like that. It's just everybody's own personal style kind of infects, I guess, the version of the song. And the same thing with the covers that we did for the album. We did try to do we didn't change the arrangements much. We tried to reproduce them faithfully, but they're still with our own personal stamp on them, modern recording sounds and stuff like that. So it's kind of just more like an updated version of those songs.
Man, I wish you guys did the Grey Cup half hour. I mean, Green Day was good, but when I hear and I see all this, I'm just like, man, I wish somebody like you guys did the halftime show for the Grey Cup.
So it's next
You,
year.
you know, cross fingers on that. Let's talk about the album again. Just to make it official, what's the name of the album? Go back again on the music on this, but more importantly, talk about the album cover, which I absolutely love.
Right. So yeah, the record is called let me see, do I have it here? Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! If you got it there with you,
Yeah, so
ah, vinyl.
Trans Canada Highwaymen Explosive Hits Volume 1. And so Volume 1 is a bit of a joke, but it's also giving us a chance to maybe do a Volume 2 or a Volume 3, which we are seriously considering. And so basically it's songs that you would have heard on the radio between 1969 and 1975, and they're all Canadian songs, all written and performed by Canadian groups. And so that record, most of this concept came from Chris Murphy. He basically designed that record jacket and sort of came up with the whole KTEL concept. And he also directed a 17-minute infomercial about the record. So I remember, Time Life or a whole bunch of people used to do this. This would be back in the 60s and 70s too, where you do an infomercial about a record and they'd scroll the songs and have little clips of the songs. So we have one of those, which I highly recommend you see. It's hilarious, absolutely hilarious, and all credit needs to go to Chris for that.
Oh man, you know on TikTok, I follow KTEL on TikTok. So one of the things I do before falling asleep, I go through all the KTEL old time commercials and I'll send them to my brother if there's a one that I remember mostly. I love the whole concept. Um, I'm just curious, is there any merch going on with a t-shirt with that album cover?
Absolutely, there is. There absolutely is.
Oh, great. So what about shows? Because I know I've heard so many different things. Are you guys touring right now? Are there shows? Are you waiting for 2024? What's going on?
Yeah, we'll be doing a lot in 2024. Just the other night we played in Toronto, and that was kind of like the kickoff for the record. And so starting in, I guess, March, we're gonna go and start doing shows going across Canada. We have another Toronto show on March 30th at the Opera House, but we have a ton of shows in various cities across the country.
What are you hearing from fans?
People have a great time at the show. I guess it's a very entertaining show. It's entertainment. we're not there doing on Jazz Odyssey or anything. We're basically playing all the hit songs. Like if you come to the show, you're hearing, The Other Man and uh, Underwhelmed and Rest of My Life, and you're hearing, Someone Who's Cool, and you're hearing Brian Wilson and Jane and That Old Apartment and I'm an Adult Now and Hard to Laugh. So yeah, you're hearing, and so the fans love it because they know all the songs, and it's a very entertaining show. Chris and Steven are very engaging on stage. There's a lot of laughs, lots of joking around, and yeah. So and we all switch instruments, with a lot of people find fun and interesting. So yeah, it's basically a very good time. Like it's not a, you don't have to sit there and think too hard. You just kind of have a great time. It's just very entertaining.
I've got to get that album vinyl. I have got to get that t-shirt. I've got to get all of that, man.
Okay,
I
record company, make sure they get you suited up with everything.
I definitely will. Look, I'm going to let you go. I got to say, congratulations on bringing all of this, helping to bring all of this together. Looking forward to seeing your show in March in Toronto and checking out where all the other shows are going to be happening. But again, most importantly, man, thank you so much for what you and each of the members have done for Canadian music. You guys have brought it up to here, and you just keep pushing the boundaries and letting other bands know that, yeah, longevity can happen in the Canadian music business. You guys are proof. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you, Rudy, and thanks for everything you do as well.